I don't know how to take this. I saw your Snapchat story. Fucking that boy was the worst period of my life. He physically fucked me up, Bailey. And if you put my name in any part of that song, I will have a lawyer faster than you can sing it. I get that this is a diss track and it's funny, and I was a part of it. I acknowledge that I was a shitty person too. I'm fully aware and I'm sorry, but I try not to remember even being with him, which is hard because it affects me day in and day out. You're a beautiful person with a beautiful voice, but if you don't leave me out of anything to do with him, we will have a problem. I'm not trying to start one now, I'm just coming to you before that. I'm just confused because this has nothing to do with her. And it wasn't just her. No, I think she's afraid that her boyfriend's gonna find out because in the messages that I was sent that I still have on my phone, that she was sending to my boyfriend, that she had just moved in with this guy. Like, they just started dating. And then she was sleeping with my boyfriend. And I don't think he knows about it. And so I'm afraid that he's going to find out that the time periods overlap. Because she was cheating on him, too, is my guess. But I don't know. I love how, she's slept with my boyfriend, but is affected day in and day out. Like, I'm not. But I get it, girl. He put me through shit, too. So, I understand. But I love that I'm being attacked. But it's fine. I know my rights. I took business law. The name's Faye. My actual name is Bailey Faye Scribner. I'm from Neosho, Missouri. And I live in Joplin now. It's about 20 minutes north. I've been living in Joplin for 6 years. I go to school at Missouri Southern in Joplin. I previously got a bachelor's degree in sound engineering, and then now I'm back getting a second bachelor's studying vocal performance. I'm 24 years old. My eyes are blue, the hair is blonde, I drive a Jeep. I have 2 dogs. One's name is Quan, and one's name is Cooper. Shout out. But anyway, back to me. At a very young age, I've been singing, basically since I could talk. I taught myself how to play the piano, and then my parents put me in piano lessons, and it didn't work out because I was a very stubborn child, and I wanted to play the piano how I wanted to play it. So I quit piano, but I've been in voice lessons since I was 9. And since being 9 years old, I've accomplished quite a bit. As a kid, I traveled around and did choirs, like National Choir, 7-state choir, 4-states choir, Missouri State Choir. I was a choir girly. I went to nationals my junior year of high school. I got selected out of the whole country. There was 200 of us, and we went to Disney. That was really fun. That was probably my biggest accomplishment in high school. And then when I got to college is when I really started writing music. What's funny about this album I'm about to drop, I have been writing this album since I was 18 and just didn't know it. So a lot of these songs I wrote when I was 17, 18, 19, and then a few of them I've just now written. So I think it's really cool. It's like a beauty, with time, beautiful things happen. What is it? Diamonds with pressure, diamonds or whatever. So I don't know. I just think it's really cool. So there's been a lot of things that have sparked this album idea. Which the big one that was all right, I'm dropping an album was I was in a relationship that absolutely destroyed me, which haven't we all been in one of those? The person I was with just kept cheating on me and lying to me, and he just took everything out of me. And whenever I was finally done, I wrote a song, which is a big deal because I've been in a writer's block for the past 2 years because I think being in abusive relationships, it kept me from being creative and doing what I loved. And it was crazy because like the second I got out, I was able to write this song, which is the last song on my album. So I was like, you know what, I'm just going to write a diss album. But then as I started working on it, I realized that each song in my album is actually telling a story. And it's no longer a diss album. There is one song in there that is a little bit of a diss. But it's just kind of the story of life, like through love, and how it can be beautiful and it can hurt. And, you know, at the end of the day, like we all deserve love. And that's kind of what it is. So I'm excited for you guys to hear it. This is the place where all my sadness comes and where I write all my music. Welcome. This is Cooper. He has been through this adventure with me. He's had about 7 stepdaddies now. I'm just kidding. I'm not kidding. But no, this is Coop. He's been with us since the start of my songwriting days. That's Quan. Anyway, welcome to my house. Let's get started. The other day, I realized the first time we recorded, I called the first song of my album 123, and that is not the name of the song. The name of the song is The Breath It Takes. And I was like, that's a great name for the album. Because it really is. Like, if I think about life, when you think about your past, you're like, wow. You know what I mean? Or like, you're about to do something scary. You know, you just like, here we go. So a lot of breath was breathed during this time. Just kidding. Yes. I don't know. I just like it. So, take it or leave it. Yeah. I'm gonna take your breath away when I sing. My album originally was supposed to be like a diss track on someone. And then as I was working on it, I was looking at old songs I wrote from like way back when I was like 17 to now. And I was like, man, like these really tell a story. I'm like, I have dated all different types of guys and have been treated all the ways. And I was like, this is kind of cool. I was like, so let's make this a journey through love to find happiness. It's really made me think, like, everyone's been cheated on. Everyone has been lied to. Everyone has been heartbroken. I think that's something that, like, us as people can come together on. Like, I could sit in a room with anyone and be like, who's been cheated on? Hey. Mommy's talking. Who's been cheated on? Who's been heartbroken? Literally every single person. You know those seminars? Stand up if you've, been heartbroken. Everybody in the room would stand up. So, I'm like, I think a lot of people can relate to this album because we've all been sad. I think anyone who listens to this album will be able to connect to at least one of the songs, which is my goal. I write pretty non-specific. I write pretty openly so anyone can connect. It's not completely like love, love, love. So even if like you're going through like life in general, like it doesn't even have to be love. I feel like some of the songs in there people can relate to. Welcome. My name's Bailey, and this is Conrad, and we're in my studio. This is where the magic happens. Speaking of cocaine and sex and fireball, so the song called Don't Play Victim is about this guy I dated who was addicted to all of that and cheated on me all the time. He caused me so much stress that I actually had severe health problems for about 9 months. But now I'm happy as ever, and those are no longer problems. So shout out to my doctor. So this song basically is about the night I broke up with him, like officially. He was just like, I've been working so hard not to cheat on you. All for what? Like crying, like literally playing victim. So I wrote this basically like, you don't get to cry. I should be the one crying. Like, keep on digging more and more, bud. We're never going to be in a good place ever again. That's what that's about. The first song that's in my album is called The Breath It Takes. So I wrote that about my first love. He actually used to live here. This used to be his room. Shout out. So I wrote it about meeting him because I had just gotten out of a relationship before him that like completely crushed me and like my first heartbreak ever. And then I met my first love, and so it's really happy. So I start my album with that. I'm like, we're just happy, like making life together. I dated this guy for 4.5 years. We dated all through college, and then he never wanted to like do anything with me anymore because he was so stressed about like his future. So like he was living in the future when I was trying to live in the present, and it just kind of broke us apart. We're still really good friends today. I ran into him at the bank, and we chatted for a while. Wish him the best. We will always be great friends and always have love for one another. Nothing bad to say about that one. He's a good one. My grandma Carol, she used to have bonfires up on the hill growing up, and when I was younger, I was a hyper girl. I was a hyper little girly, and sorry about Quan, he keeps moaning. When I was a little girl, I got bored really easily, so I walked down the hill and I went to grandma's house, and she has a piano. And I sat at the piano, and the song My Heart Will Go On from the Titanic was sitting there. I mind you, never played the piano. I think I was in voice lessons at this point, so I knew what the notes on the staff were, and I figured out what they were on the piano, and I sat there and I taught myself how to play. And from there on, I think I was in 5th grade or 6th grade. I taught myself how to play. And then in junior high, I started taking piano lessons with Pam, my voice teacher. But I was really stubborn. I wanted to play it my way, and it just wasn't for me. So I quit taking piano lessons until I was in college because I had to. But yeah, so I'm a self-taught pianist. Everyone's always like, why don't you play at places? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Like everyone else, yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, I've been struggling with like finding my audience. And like the biggest thing that I went through when I wrote I Can't Do This Anymore, a lot of people think it's about a boy, but it's actually not. It's about my music. So back in high school, I was like heavily writing and heavily like releasing songs, and people were about it for like a little bit, and then all of a sudden like more people from my school started like, oh, I'm gonna pick up a guitar and I'm gonna be a musician, which was fine, but then everyone like kind of started hating on my music, like, why don't you write your songs like this? Like people would literally message me and be like, you should have upbeat songs. Why are your songs so sad? Why should why can't you have drums and a guitar and blah, blah, blah. And it like really started getting in my head to the point where I couldn't even write music, because like when I would sit down to write, I would just like hear everyone's like opinions. And so I quit writing music for a while. And then like the older I got, like I'm a bartender. I'm in a bar all the time, and I see musicians like playing, and I'm like, man, like I want to do that, but like that's just not my vibe. And so I just gave up on like I'll never play like that. And then starting this album, I've realized, just with the connections with people I've met throughout this album, I've been looking in the wrong direction this whole time. I needed to be looking at like country clubs, wedding vineyards, like more fancy formal events, because that is the style of my songs. I'm a classically trained musician. Why in the hell was I thinking I could go to a dive bar and whip out some ballads? Like, it's just not my place. And so now that I'm where I'm at, I'm like, okay, this is my new vision. So I'm going to start playing. I'm going to put myself out there, and I think this will be the start of it. And so I no longer compare myself to my hometown musician friends, because we're just not the same. And I used to like feel really insecure about myself, because I'm like, I've been doing this my whole life. Like, nobody respects what I do, and it's just like, it like broke my heart. I like literally gave up on my dreams, and it's so stupid because this world's too big for that. There's room for everyone. So the second song is called I'm So Sad. And it's kind of about me just like looking back at this relationship that I was in with this guy I dated a year ago. He was crazy, like not in the sense of like crazy, but just looking back, I can't believe I didn't see it. I dated him about a year ago, and no, it was 2 years ago. Time has gone by so fast. So the guy I was with for 4.5 years, we lived here, but then we lived together for like 9 months before I started dating anyone, before I'd even like tried looking, and I just kind of bumped into this guy. It kind of happened, wasn't expecting it. And then I don't know, I don't know if it's because it's the first guy since dating this one guy for 4.5 years, but he was just really swept me off my feet. And so I was very like gullible and like blinded, because I hadn't really been treated bad by my ex, so I wasn't like looking for red flags. Because I guess I was just spoiled to the thought of like, if someone likes you, they're probably gonna treat you right. That's not the case. He was getting like more and more like controlling, and like I wasn't allowed to wear makeup all of a sudden. I had to weigh 170 pounds. If I weighed less, he would leave me. If I got over 180, he would leave me. I couldn't eat mushrooms because they're a fungus. Like the craziest things. He started seeing me less and less and started making excuses. Like, I felt like I was alone, but like was being very emotionally abused. Like, I always felt like I had to be perfect, and it didn't matter what I did. I was like always disappointing him. So I was like living in fight and flight mode our entire relationship, to the point where I was like lashing out on the people that I loved. Like, I lost a lot of friends because of it, because I was just so like blinded by everything. Like, I wasn't me. And it put my family through a lot. My family went through it with me. It was really hard to have them watch me date someone like that. But yeah, I got out of that relationship and was really reflecting on it. And so I wrote this song because I was just sad at myself. Like, how could I let someone treat me like that? And so I wrote that. This song I wrote before any of the other songs. It's a little out of order. The reason why I wrote the songs the way I did is because of like how each song ends. So in my first song, it ends on a E major chord. And then the second song, I'm So Sad, ends on starts on an E minor chord. So in the song, in the album, it's gonna go from like this, and it's gonna echo and then bleed into each other. And so that's kind of why the songs are in the specific order that they're in. Not every single one of them does that, but pretty close. That's why Standing is the next one. And it ends on a B major, and then the song after that starts on a B flat. So it's not the same note, but it's the flat of that note. So it's the way it sounds to the audience's ear. It's just why I did it the way I did. So I'm a small town girl. There's a lot of talent in this area. A lot. The Midwest has so much talent. It's crazy. Opportunities are less, I would say, but the opportunities are also more intimate. There's a lot to do. Like, the more I've ventured out, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, we have Heartland Opera, we have Joplin Little Theater, we have like all these, we have a Cornell Center. People travel everywhere and perform in this area. And it's like crazy because you don't really hear about it unless you're looking for it. But I think it's also really awesome to live in a small town because of like the connections you can make in the relationships. It's more personable. Granted, I've never went to a big city and tried this, so maybe it's the same. I don't know. But I love that about this area. Like, I'm a bartender, so I've made the best relationships with people sitting behind my bar. Like, every time I've had an opportunity, it's because I've just happened to mention. Just the other day, I just started a new job, and they had the ribbon cutting for this place, and the Neosho Chamber of Commerce came in to women that are very known, and they sat at the bar because I was working, and they were just like asking me how I was or asking about the album, and there was a guy sitting next to them. He was like, oh, you write music? You're doing an album debut? You're doing all this? I'm like, yeah. I was like, I just need a sound equipment now and a piano and my cover art, and I'm pretty much done. And he was like, well, I can hook you up. And literally the next day he came in, he's like, I got you. And that's what it's like to live in a small town. It's awesome. Isn't gonna be like other albums. My vision on this album is to be like this setting right here. If you were to be sitting in this huge auditorium by yourself, and I'm up here on this stage playing this piano, that's how I want this album to sound. That's kind of the feel. So when you're listening to it, imagine sitting in an empty auditorium and just listening to my songs, because that's kind of the vibe I'm wanting. So I wrote all the lyrics and all the music to this album, and I recorded it all myself. I played, sang the vocals, and did everything myself, which I think is pretty cool. That's why I went to college the first time, was to learn how to do that stuff so I didn't have to pay anyone to do it. So I'm a bargainer. Yeah. As a kid, I was in voice lessons, I did dance, I did like acting and plays and stuff, and I like dreamed of being on Broadway. And I have this joke right now with a lot of people I perform with. I'm like, who hasn't? But as I got older, I realized like, man, like it's rough out there. Like, I don't want to move to New York and like starve and pay thousands of dollars in rent for like a Barbie house apartment and like never be guaranteed a job. Like even if I did get on Broadway, like my contract would only be for so long and then I'd be starting over again. And so like that really scared me. And then I got vocal notes my junior year of high school, or senior year, one of those years. And so I had to go like 3 months with like not singing. I think I had to go a month without talking. I had like things on my hands to like talk to people. And so during that time is like when I really got into like recording, and I like learned how to do it, and it was really cool. And I was like, you know what? That's what I want to do with my life. I want to write music and record and be a music producer. And so that's why I went to college and studied that first. And then when I graduated college the first time, I like did not even go into my studio. I think maybe a handful of times. I did not write anything. I did not sing because I was so burnt out as a kid, just always going, always performing. I ended up being a manager of a restaurant. Yay. And then I moved to Florida, and I was like, damn, like life's hard. Like I'm so unhappy. What do I want to do with my life? I moved back. I bumped into the chair of the music department because I was sneaking around here at the campus. And he was like, you know, come back to school. Like you have literally 2 semesters left to get another degree. Like do it. I was like, okay. So I enrolled back into school, and like it was great because all I did was sing all day because I didn't have to take like math or anything because I already took all that. And then that's like what has sparked this new me. Like I don't care if I'm famous. I just want to pay my bills and do what I love. So like performing is what I want to do, whether it's on Broadway, whether it's a tiny church in Neosho and there's 10 people in the audience, like that's what I want to do. And since January, I've been in quite a few shows, and it's been amazing. Like I'm doing opera now, like what?